Hi everyone, we are here in a new video and I want to show you how we can validate our form or inputs in a React Native. There's different ways to validate our input to show an error. Can be through an alert or a pop-up or just a text below your input. There's different ways. I've been studying this according to have the best user experience. Have some alerts in a big screen in a computer, desktop, or a notebook. It's not the same than in a mobile app. We have small spaces, the screen is smaller than in a desktop. We have to rethink how we want to validate our forms. So I'm going to show you an example that I wrote. It's really simple, but I think that is powerful if you start to improve it. So basically, we are going to have an object, and a script, JavaScript object, and a function. So here, as you can see, we have a file that we create that the name is validation, and here we have an object that it has all the fields that we want to validate: an email, password validation, time, decimal, etc. Here we have, for example, the presence, when the value is missing, the message, when we have a value and we want to test with a pattern, also a length, when we have a minimum, also can be a maximum, and here's the value that we want to test, and the message. So as you can see, all the time we have a message and a test that we want to do. That can be a pattern, here a minimum, or in otherwise, if the value is missing, just the presence. And here also we have a function that I wrote. It's not, I didn't wrote it very well, but it's working, and of course that you can write your own. It's up to you, so don't worry about it. It's just a small function that I wrote just quickly. Basically, it's taking the name of the field, that can be a decimal, time, password, or any field that you wrote here, and the value that you want to validate. So basically the response will be an array with a boolean, true or false, if it's validated or not, and if it's not, the message that we want to show. And here we can just erase this, and here we are basically checking if the name field is in our validation, because in otherwise automatically is valid. So then we are checking if the value is empty or null, and that is for the presence test. Then we are checking the pattern, if it has, with the format message, and then the length, that can be minimum or maximum, with the message here for each test. So here is a really basic function, but it's just to give you an idea that how you can validate. So here basically we have the object and here the function. And then to use it, for example, here I have a page that I wrote in React Native, and I import the validate function, just the validate function. And for example, if you want to validate an input, for example, this input that it called enter, this is the value, this will be the error, that can be true or false, if it's validate or not, if it's valid, sorry, or not, and finally the message, if it has an error. So as you can see, I have 1 input, 2 input, 3 and 4 inputs. And just for this input, if we go here, let me see here we have the label, and here is the input. So I put this event on change. So all the time we are taking the value and we are checking if it's valid with the decimal validation that I put here. So basically, if it's null or it's empty, we are showing this message, and in otherwise we are checking if the pattern passed this test. So here we have the response, and we are setting the state of the enter error, that is a boolean, can be true or false, and also the enter error message. So here we are saying if it's valid or not, and here the message that we want to show if it's not valid. And the message we are showing here below of the input. So here's the input, and here's the message. And this is just a style, and this is the error. So at the beginning the error is empty, so it wasn't show anything, and if it has an error, it will show here below. In like real time, basically, I mean, you are typing in your input, and in the moment that you are typing, this event is checking if it's valid all the time, your current input value, and is showing here the message error if it wasn't passed the validation. And that's it. And the other style that I wrote is here. That is basically a border bottom that I wrote, that if the input has an error, show this style. That is just a border bottom. So basically we have two ways to show our input error. That is with a text below the input, and also with a border bottom in our input. So now I'm going to show you an image for the example that, as you can see, will be before and after. So I hope you guys like it, and if you have any question, you can find me in the social networks, my channel, or just writing me an email. See you guys. So bye bye, have a nice day or night or afternoon and see you soon. Bye bye.